Hey everybody, Mark Horner, Beyond 90 Seconds. It's been a while since I've gone live here on YouTube from inside the studio. It's been even longer. I know I've done some lives out in the field using Switcher Studio Pro on my iPad and my iPhones, but even that was a while ago, and it's been even longer since I've been sitting in here doing a live stream. So it's good to be back, and I thought I'd just check in. And as I do so, yeah, I'm a little rusty. I've reconfigured things inside my little studio here and getting back into the swing of things because I am, as I said, rusty when it comes to using some of the software and some of this hardware. So what I want to be able to see is if I'm going to be able to see your chat, and I am. So that's good. And I am going to just double check and make sure I can hear the audio off the YouTube feed. And I am going to, yep, absolutely. So that's good. And there's a new prompt that comes up right away from YouTube that says, new, managing moderators can support your channel in even more ways, introducing managing moderators, and it goes on about that. So I'll have to read up and learn more about that later. So let's see if anybody checks in. If so, I'm happy to answer your questions and possibly even bring somebody on if they're so inclined to want to do so. And let's go ahead and close this. Now, if any chat comes in, I'll be able to see it. Perfect. And there's one other thing I wanted to do. Give a tip of the hat, as they say. Oh, this is great. In the ATEM Mini Pro software, I'm getting some new graphical information I don't remember seeing before, so that's interesting. But what I wanted to do is pop this up. There we go. And give a shout out to the DVE store and its owner and friend, Guy Cochran, for making this 1080p stream possible, supporter of the channel. Really appreciate that. Guy's been, and his store have just been phenomenal over the years. They used to be in Marysville, Washington years ago, and now they're in downtown Everett in the huge old Everett Herald newspaper building on the waterfront by the Navy base. And if you're used to going to Amazon or B&H Photo for your video, lighting, cameras, microphone, audio, gear, or technical solutions for live streaming especially, check out the DVE store at dvestore.com. They have excellent customer service. They really back up their products, and they are there after the sale, continuing to give you excellent customer service. I know this firsthand because they've done it for me time and time again, and I have some friends who have since become customers over those years, and they get very similar outstanding service. So thank you, Guy Cochran and the DVE store. So, yeah, I'm just working my way around the ATEM software panel. I think I can go ahead and close that. Some of the things I've been practicing for those who are into the live streaming and perhaps a bit familiar with this type of equipment is I've been playing a bit with playing videos back using OBS, playing out of OBS, which is free open source software that you may be familiar with, and that very well could be a good solution. I just don't think my computer is powerful enough. William Allen Photo is there. Hey, nice to see you, William Allen Photo, as always. It's been great to have you always checking in fairly regularly. You probably do it more often if I posted more often. So I hope that you've been out with your camera, assuming that you're still at it. I think you probably are. I know you had a setback a few years ago with some stolen gear, which can really be demoralizing, but I hope you're getting out there with the camera and getting an outlet there for your creative passions. Yeah, haven't seen me in a while. Yeah, it's been pretty quiet overall for the past, probably more than a year now, just dealing with family stuff and other stuff. But I continue to march on, and I'm picking up steam once again. And Tom is here from Whidbey Island. Nice to see you, Tom. Peace sign right back to you. I doubt you had any snow today, Tom, but hey, guess what? William Allen Photo and Tom on Whidbey, they say we've got some high winds coming, I think, tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, and then we're going to have really cold weather down in the teens as far as, I think, the wind chill is concerned early this week. So we've got that to look forward to. Might be interesting for you, Tom, as you look across the water, especially I guess it'd be easiest for you to look. Nearest beach for you would be pretty much out your front yard looking west, right? So you might get some good choppy water and some whitecaps, who knows, with some of those high winds. Oh, you're in Palm Springs. Okay. It's that time of year, is it? I think you go at least once a year. Well, let's see. I am getting a warning inside of YouTube Studio. It says excellent connection. It was giving me a warning, and as I was about to read it, now it says excellent connection. So I've had a lot on my mind. One is, picking up steam with social, especially YouTube, because I really do enjoy YouTube. I have been doing some shorts lately, which is new. It's kind of like a really easy lift. So it's not like going out and shooting stories and editing them and recording audio, producing graphics and so forth. So I have been doing some shorts. That's been kind of fun. I've read a couple of excerpts from my book that I wrote some 20 odd years ago. I have a thought on that I'd like to share with you in just a moment. So, but I will be out there doing some more storytelling soon. I think that things are kind of settling down away from YouTube for me right now in other areas of my life. So I'll have the time to do more of this, which is great because I'm very passionate about it. One of the things I was going to share, I'll just say it really quickly here, famous last words, right? Really quickly. Because there's 24-year history almost regarding this matter. But it's just really discouraging sometimes to go online and just see the blatant use of photos that I've taken and collected with permission regarding the book that I wrote, the Hasenkopf case, Gurley Chu Hasenkopf case. And it's not just individuals, it's some well-known sites, Wikipedia, findagrave.com, other well-known sites. And some of these photos, they could only really get them from me. Many of them originated with me. In 1999, I started a website when Gurley Chu Hasenkopf disappeared. And most people didn't have a website. Nobody heard the word blog, as far as I know, at that time. And I used it as an investigative tool while working for a TV station when I started it. And it was originally, simply built with drag and drop software from AOL.com. I was with AOL at the time. But it was a very useful tool. I used to stay up all night, basically, at least till 2 o'clock in the morning after work, writing. And I would take a camera to work and take photos along the way of covering the story. And back then, everything was on film. So after work, I'd race to Northeast Albuquerque to get in there to TJ's 1 hour photo on Tramway in Montgomery to get those rolls of film or roll of film developed so I can go home, scan it, and then make really small image files, because back then everything was dial-up and was happily lived in kilobits and not, megabits per file, photo file, even though today you'd still want to optimize for less than a megabyte, of course. But they were really tiny files when you scanned them and uploaded them back then. But that website continued for years. In fact, when the case finally went to trial, I was on Court TV and my website that week, because Court TV did a week-long rebroadcast of the trial, Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, so 40 hours. And the website had something like 30,000 hits that week. And the website helped me secure a book deal with a New York publisher, Kensington Publishing. And along the way, I took a lot of pictures. And I was out there, what's the term? Gumshoeing it, I think is it. I would go, for example, they finally did a high-profile search with massive people power. I was about to say manpower, but men and women, resources, helicopters, airplanes, well over 100 people, if not hundreds, on the weekend of June 25th and June 26th, 2000, 9 months after Gurley disappeared in the remote desert 120 miles southwest of Albuquerque. And the weekend before that, I went down there and explored the area myself and did some walking around the desert and pretty much I nailed the place that they were going to search, and took a lot of pictures and got that film developed. When the case finally was winding up for trial, a judge said to me, you're not going to be able to bring that camera in and take pictures because it makes noise. And you need to get one of those new kinds of cameras, a digital camera. Now, we think nothing of that term today, but back then that was a new thing to hear, a digital camera. So I was a news reporter who used to shoot a lot of stories when I first got into television myself. I was a one-person band. My first two jobs in Wenatchee and Yakima, and then I went on to other markets where I specialized in strictly reporting. But when I was in Albuquerque, I just had this passion. I already had a passion for still photography, and I started, as a result of this case, taking my film camera with me and just clicking away and, publishing to the internet. So I got myself a digital camera. It was a very simple Canon camera. I recently ordered just 1 second. Is there something you need? Okay. Sorry, my son was just outside the door here. I got a very simple Canon point and shoot, and it didn't make any noise. And I was able to start getting good photos with it in court. In fact, one day I was supposed to be covering another story, but I couldn't resist. The trial was going on and on for one of the defendants. And the TV station only had so many reporters and stretched its resources. And one day said, "You're not going to cover the Linda Henning trial." She was one of the co-defendants. But I managed to slip in there away from my story a few times. And during a break, Linda stood up and she came and talked to me. She's a defendant. And I picked up that little Canon point and shoot and put it in video mode. And it shot 15 frames per second, which is about half of the standard for the U.S. Broadcast, which is 29.97 or 30 frames per second. So it was a little staccato or choppy. But nonetheless, she said some compelling things. And she said, what if the jury are all aliens? Because she had this belief in UFOs, and there was this sensational UFO, alien queen, reptilian, shape-shifting creatures all connected to this case. That was all the sensational component. But at the heart of the case, it was very much a domestic violence case with the familiar themes of power and control. So I went back to the station, and I was supposed to be doing this one story. It had nothing to do with the case, but I had this little video file, 15 frames per second, and I said to the executive producer, I said, "You want to take a look at this?" And she looked in the camera, and she said, "You got that in court today? New 6 o'clock lead." My dog just came in. Hey, Bo. Here's Bo. So that became the 6 o'clock lead. I tell that lengthy story because I've even seen still frames taken from that video on the internet. And what I did today, and I've tried to block this out over the years because for me, it seems too overwhelming, really, to control it. Hi, Bo. Right on, William Allen Photo. Woof. And that is just the rampant misuse of the material that I accumulated, and just kind of give you some perspective. I mentioned the trouble with the film, just the legwork that went into that, the traveling on my own time. Much of that case I covered away from the clock, after hours and on weekends. At one point, I was even unemployed between two jobs at two competing TV stations. So I continued to cover the case. Not long after starting the website, I got an email in the middle of the night from Malaysia. And this young man named Andrew True wrote to me, and he said, "Thank you for this website. It is my mother and my father here in Malaysia. We all thank you. My family thanks you because your website is our family's sole conduit to information about our beloved Gurley's case." You see, the victim, whose body still hasn't been found to this day, she was from Malaysia. And as a result of that contact, a few weeks later in November, just 2 months after Gurley disappeared, Andrew flew connecting flights about 36 hours or so from Malaysia to Albuquerque, got off the plane at the Albuquerque Sunport, took 10 steps and shook my hand in the airport and gave me the exclusive interview for 10, all built on that relationship, one that continues to this day. I've managed to maintain relationships with many of the key players in this case. But all of that said, there were people like Andrew. Andrew has provided me with all sorts of photos of Gurley growing up. I think I have every childhood school photo, headshot taken of Gurley for every year of her school life, and other photos taken in Malaysia while she lived there. Her friends in Albuquerque that she made, the very few close friends that she made, that she trusted and were very dear to her, they have shared materials with me too. So when I see these photos showing up, like I searched Twitter tonight, and because the story's back in the news today. There's a publication called The Sun that blasted an article today. It's the U.S. version of The Sun, all about this case. It says exclusive new insights. From what I can tell, there's nothing new there. And this program, they're basically promoting yet a new television program. And that program approached me last year, and I declined to participate, as I usually do these days. I can talk more about that if you'd like. Was Andrew's relation... I'm sorry, Andrew was Gurley's brother, youngest brother. She had two brothers. Gurley was the oldest. She was 36 years old when she went missing, and her estranged husband was a con man. He conned people, men and women, out of their blood, their money, and he conned women often out of sex. And he claimed to be a very forward, a groundbreaking doctor who could do things that were just on the cutting edge of medicine. That's why he was never home. He would tell Gurley, I'm off to save this life in Texas, do this surgery, perform this operation. And there was a woman who was an heiress to a trust, an elderly woman with breast cancer, who he carried on a romantic relationship with this married woman, promising that he, with his new age medicine, could save her life. So she decided to forego modern medicine and put her trust in him. And he just, it looked like Scotty from the USS Enterprise in Star Trek. You might as well put dilithium crystals on the itemized, billing for all the alleged treatments that Dr. Hasenkopf provided her. So she went on to die a very lonely, painful death from terrible, terrible complications and the spreading of the breast cancer. But he managed to get 25 grand or so, 25 to 30 grand out of her per month, and even traveled with her on cruises to the Caribbean, Alaska, and so on. And he was simultaneously engaged with different women, all while married to Gurley. And there's also a story of a 3-year-old boy that the couple, quote unquote, adopted. But what he did was he went to Canada on one of these forays, and there was an Asian woman working at the I'm forgetting the name of the Banff Hotel. There you go, in Alberta, Canada. It's like a castle setting in the Northern Rockies, and she was working at a jewelry store. This woman, young, pretty Asian woman, and he continued to try and work his spell on her. And ultimately, after repeated trips, they got together, and she conceived a child. And she went back to Japan, left Japan in shame. It was shameful for her to have a baby out of wedlock. And Hasenkopf convinced her that only he could raise that child because of the rare, very rare disease that Hasenkopf claimed the child would have, that only Hasenkopf knew how to treat. So she flew with the less than 1-month-old baby that she had just given birth to from Japan to Juarez, Mexico. Well, ultimately stopping in Juarez, meeting Hasenkopf at the prearranged hotel, and tearfully handing over the baby to Hasenkopf, who somehow smuggled the baby into the U.S. and showed up as if you and I might have arrived home with a sack of groceries and said, honey, I'm home. This is our new child. And that child, there's a great story behind that child, and some of it's come out in the recent year or two. But my connection to that child really intensified in about 2015 when he was no longer a child. And it's a relationship that has only strengthened since that time. And I'm hoping that there will come a time where I can announce some good news regarding plans for a special project moving forward that I've been working on for the past over a year now. But I don't want to get into that because it'd be premature. Just let's keep our fingers crossed, and then one day you'll be saying, oh, that's the thing Mark was talking about. Anyhow, we'll see where that goes. But, back to it, I had people contacting me, and I was contacting people who are connected to Gurley's life all over the world. And, for example, there's this one gentleman who shared some photos of he and Gurley with me from the early 90s. He shared them with no one else. Yeah, I see some of those photos all over Twitter as I go through it tonight. Because this program and this article in The Sun touting this new program episode featuring the case has allegedly new exclusive information, which I really doubt it has. Let's just suffice it to say that it's just really hard to see the stuff that you cultivated over years. In my book, I had to have people sign a release form. If they agreed to do an interview, they had to sign a release form. And if they gave me anything such as photos, they had to sign a release form. The photos would not go in the book or be considered for the book unless the person who took the picture signed the release form. So there was, the highest regard for care, proper conduct, ethics. And so to see the stuff that I gathered just slapped around, and just people are even monetizing it, which, I saw that a few years ago, probably 2 years ago. It just made me sick to my stomach. There is some YouTube video. I had to walk away from it. It just tore from my website. This was years. This website is years and years of work. And I mentioned it was initially on AOL using a drag and drop product called Hot Dog Express. Is what it was called back in the day. And in about 2015, and just to give you some context, for those of you who might have a little bit of tech in your background, I eventually left Amazon's Hot Dog Express, and in the early 2000s, I started using something called Adobe PageMill 3.0. And I was using that to make the website. And then what happened was, what year was it? It was after we moved back to Washington. I was using a website hosting company called Blue Layer Media, and it got hacked. And it lost everything on its servers. Turned out Blue Layer Media was two guys who went to college together, and I hadn't backed up everything. And so I had to really work to rebuild my website as best I could. Spent a lot of time on the Wayback Machine at archive.org. And then I moved it all to a new domain. I decided to make the domain the title of my book. So it's septembersacrifice.com. So much of it still lives there today, the original website. And it's just got a whole new look because, I started working in WordPress around 2008, self-hosting, so not WordPress.com, is where I eventually started, putting everything. So septembersacrifice.com is built on, in the WordPress application where I host it. And I don't really touch it very often anymore. But I hope to put a really big update there in the next, sometime, hopefully before the summer. It could come any day, to be honest with you. If we get the good news that we're hoping for, a green light, that would be a firm green light for the next level of commitment from a major streamer. Anyway, and I've been approached, I basically decided to turn down these hour-long programs that want me to participate. That's why I'm not sure. I usually get asked, some years not, but most years once or twice, will I be agreeable to being interviewed? The state of photo copyright is abysmal. I totally agree, William. It's overwhelming because of what you see. Like the YouTube video I was referring to, I think it has well over 100,000, if not hundreds of thousands of views. So, and it's monetized, showcasing my content. I went to a tweet tonight. I just put Hasenkopf in Twitter. And I saw, wow, a lot of content here, a lot of my photos, either that I took or that I got permission, directly from the individual who took the pictures, entrusted to me. And here they are. Let me just see something here. We'll do a little, we'll have a little fun, I guess. It's kind of painful to do so, but I'll do it. Let's go to my iPad and we'll put in Hasenkopf. Okay, so you see this? Someone's made a graphic. This is 3/15/21. That picture of Gurley superimposed on some artwork. That picture of Gurley is a photo that was taken by the young man at the time who was seeing her in the early 90s. He only shared this and other photos with me. guaranteed, absolutely positive. So someone scraped that from my content. These are all things that I have, except for the pictures of the bottle of wine. But that's Dmitry Hasenkopf, the boy who was adopted. Initially, I had that picture on the left, and then I ended up later blurring the face, like you see in the upper right picture. But these are likely all lifted from my website, with the exception of the bottle of wine. I can now, and this is a great example. So here's that picture again, and here's the guy who contacted me, who took the previous picture that you just saw with Gurley, and this is from the early 90s, as I recall. And they could have gotten that from the Department of Corrections in New Mexico, but they probably got it right off my website. This is one of the earliest pictures I got regarding Gurley from the family. I believe is where I got it, from her family in Malaysia. It was either from her or from Ernestine Johnson in New Mexico, who was a much older woman who Gurley worked with at a bank. There it is again, the mugshot. That was from Court TV. Now this kills me. See, this last podcast on the left. Now, I think this was a very popular podcast, and it brought a lot of people to my website. I probably sold more than a few books. Not the hard copy, unless people bought the used copies, but the hard copy is no longer in print. The first print was 40,000, and then it did a second print of it was 10 or 15,000. But now, and then I worked with, I was approached by Greg Olson, who's a well-known true crime writer here in Washington State, lives in Olalla. Greg's a good friend. He's the reason I wrote my book, because he gave me the kick in the pants that I needed to do it. Here, I'll put myself, let's go lower right. Okay, so in fact on YouTube there might be something in the way there, so here, I'll just put it over here. So this picture that's kind of kills me, I'll click on it. That picture that you saw, Ernestine Johnson gave me that picture. There it is right there. That is from a trip that she goes by Ernie, and Gurley made to northern New Mexico. I think they might have been up in the Taos area, but nobody else got that picture from anyone but Ernie. And Ernie's the only one. She only gave it to me, and I don't recall sharing it with anybody. I wouldn't have felt comfortable sharing it with any of the television news stations that approached me, or not news stations, but production companies, because they would have needed Ernie's permission. I wouldn't let it happen without the photographer. Ernie was somebody who I protected my sources, and I protected them even if they were well known. I wanted to, this was their property as far as Ernie took that picture, but, so people just lift it, and, that's not him. That picture on the right very well could have been lifted. It's a still frame. It's Hasenkopf in Sally Port in handcuffs, outside the old Bernalillo County Detention Center in downtown Albuquerque. I'm not sure about that picture. Yeah, that's one from the young man again. That and that's from Wikipedia, I believe. That might be Wikipedia. I also here we go again. Gosh, so this is a picture that I took. These probably all came from my website, because they're all on there. You can see I put copyright Mark Horner there at the bottom. You might be able to see that. That could have come from my website. I've had that since the early 90s. Late 90s, early 2000s. So very well, this could all have been lifted right off my website. And I mean, how do you go after everybody once it's out on the internet? If it's if it it's like a bunch of hungry piranha going after an item, they all just consume it, devour it, and it gets spread everywhere. Yeah, that's Hasenkopf. There's that picture again, and there's a lot more. I've seen more. This is findagrave.com, and that's a picture of Gurley. I have nothing against Find a Grave. I go there from time to time, and yeah. And we'll cut back to the camera. So I'm not. I don't want to sound like I'm not super angry. It just feels kind of hopeless. I've had people tell me you should go after these folks. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. You have a nice evening too. So I've probably gone on about that too much. Remember I said I would just spend a bit of time? Hey, and by the way, I wanted to once again should give a shout out to Guy Cochran and the DVE store. It's because of the DVE store. You can basically say they sponsor this because they've given me a Zoom license that allows me to stream in 1080p, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you, Guy, and the DVE store. If you're into live streaming, if you're looking for cameras, lights, audio equipment, check out the DVE store at dvestore.com. They're located in Everett, Washington. They ship all around the world. I was reading about one of their new products, and it was, as soon as they listed it, somebody in Iceland bought this product. It's a really cool product too. Won't go on about it here, but yeah, and their customer service is outstanding. They're definitely, they are there after the sale, willing to give you excellent ongoing technical support. So can't say enough good things about the DVE store. All right, so yeah, that's my little, I don't know if that was a rant. This is kind of a deep share, I guess, about what I see happening out there in terms of, you know, all of these accumulated photos. If I just to kind of put a lid on it with this, I have all the police photo, of which there are thousands, at least 2,000, that stretch from Albuquerque to Hanahan, South Carolina. Every single police photo, all the photos, the thousands that I took, and many more that were provided to me with permission directly from the people who took the photos. William says, about the only thing you can do in the future is place a huge, ugly copyright across the important part of the photo. That makes it unusable to anyone else without permission. And I was having, again, that thought tonight. You know, I went out and took a slow walk in the rain with my dog, Bo Blue, Bo, also known as Bobo. And I kid you not, I'm wearing my pajama bottoms. I put on a raincoat and I just went out there and I took him for a walk, and I'm thinking about this and just trying to keep it all in perspective. And I'm thinking that, you know, I'm thinking about just all you can really do is exactly what you just said, William. And that is just put a huge copyright bug, suspicious character. Yeah, that was me. I know. It's funny because I was walking along. I didn't see this old lady coming at me with her dog. I know who she is. And she was getting off the sidewalk approaching me before I even noticed her. So I probably seemed like a looming figure coming out of the dark. But yeah, suspicious character. So yeah, and the other thing is, the other option is don't share. I have material that I've never shared. I don't think I've ever published all those photos, you know, each one of her growing up, girly through grade school, all of her school pictures. And there might be a few others that I have. I mean, Will, you'll appreciate this. I've got photos. I've got floppy disks. I've got lots and lots of floppy disks because that's how I used to back up things, you know, in 1999, 2000. So what I am aiming to do in the near future is to have more people on, both live and pre-recorded, but I love doing live, and bring people on for interviews and on a variety of topics. My friend Christian Zasse is really, really consuming AI right now. He's learned how to write in the code Python, and he got I guess you have to request permission initially to get through Microsoft, the Bing search with the ChatGPT interface, or what's built into it, as well as the Edge, use of Edge with it. You still have a machine that reads floppies? Well, you know what? I ordered one from Amazon, and it doesn't do a great job. It sounds painful when it's hooked up by a USB, and you know, you hear that little rattle of that that little thing inside the floppy. It feels like it's going to break any moment. I initially started out backing up everything on floppies, and I thought, this feels too tenuous and it's taking too long, so I moved on to another project. Man, between that and all the VHS tapes, Will, and all the beta tapes, beta SP, What else do I have? Lots of mini DV. Gosh, I've got so many mini DV tapes for my personal use, and there's so much stuff that I would love. Not to mention film negatives. So, Will, you would appreciate this. I've got not just from the Hasenkopf case, but just other cases as well as my personal life. Like a lot of people, tons of 35 millimeter negatives. So a lot of people tend to go to is it Victory House in Seattle, Ballard area. I think it's just south of the Aurora Bridge. I went there years ago. They did a very good job. But there's another place. What is it? Begins with an M. Not make believe. It's in Mercer Island. Anyway, I went there and had them. I found a lot of my Hasenkopf case stuff, and I didn't give them everything, but I gave them a lot. They did a nice job. You still have see records in 78 seconds. Gosh, yesterday's technology. And I was thinking about what today will they be scoffing at, or looking back romantically or nostalgically in 20 years, 10 years even, right? Everything's moving so fast. But yeah, it is a process to get that kind of stuff backed up. You can do it yourself. I've even played with the apps on the phone that can read film negatives, but I wasn't 100%. I really want, especially with like the Hasenkopf case, I want that stuff done as professionally as possible. And they did, where I took it on Mercer Island, they gave me some kind of cleaned up JPEGs, and then they gave me the TIFFs, which are much larger files. I believe they were TIFFs. And they weren't cleaned up, but I could do that if I wanted to. Let's see. You were referencing the old vinyls. Yes. There's a place in Linwood, and it's been featured on King 5 News or Evening Magazine and other places. It's called the Vinyl Garage. I only discovered it last year. I think it was early last year with my kids and my wife, and we had a really fun time there. It's literally a garage where a guy sells wall-to-wall vinyl, and he's quite the talker and highly entertaining. It was fun experience. So, what about you, Will? What do you spend your time doing these days? Anybody else want to throw in a question? I'm here, happy to answer, whether it's regarding live streaming, photography, true crime. Throw it at me. And I'm here to learn from you as well. So I'll let this go a bit longer. Running from your ego. I think that's something I try to do more so as I get older myself. That stuff is really tucked in deeply at times, isn't it? I'll tell you what my setup is for live streaming tonight. I'm using the A10 Mini Pro. I'm using my old iPhone 7 Plus as my camera. I'm using the Filmic Pro app on the old iPhone. I'm using my wife's laptop. It's a Lenovo, and it's not a high-end one. It's the IdeaPad Flex 5. And I'm running, what am I running? Yeah, I have the Stream Deck going, but I'm not even using it. I've had the Stream Deck for at least a couple of years now, 2 or 3 years. And I've got some buttons set up. I can switch. What do we got the iPad on? 2? Let's go to 2. No, that's not where I have it. Where do I have it? I have it on 4. There we go. Sorry. So I don't have anything on 2 and 3. And I'll go back to camera 1. There we go. So that's on the Stream Deck. I've got software. Let's get this going. I've got a large monitor coming out of the iPad, which I'm so thankful for because it's so hard to read things on a smaller laptop screen. I'm running Companion. Stream Deck is a hardware. Yeah, it's a piece of hardware. You can use it to just make things go much faster. You can really simplify your workflow, and you can give it commands so it'll. What's the term I'm looking for? Where you record steps that you want to take, and then it remembers it, and so you program that button to do those things all with a single press of the button. forgetting the term right now. And it can be used for live streaming, it can be used for gaming, it can be used for all sorts of things, tasks with your computer, various software. So, yeah, just go to YouTube and Google Stream Deck. There are various models of them. I've got I guess it's the 15 button. Yeah, no, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Yeah, 15 button Stream Deck. There are some much bigger ones, and there's one smaller, I think. And the new ones actually have dials on them, and I'm not hearing great things about it. I should have a NDI, should run NDI connected to OBS. Next time I'll be better at this, and I could show you my setup like this with my other phone. I am on Discord in case anybody wants to reach out. Let me know and I'll send you an invite if you're interested. Well, I don't know if I have your phone number or email, so I only know how to get a hold of you on YouTube. I think maybe years ago you gave me your phone number. Let's see. Nope, not seeing you. Yeah, that is called an action. We're connected on Facebook, and we usually used to email occasionally. Okay, I could always reach you through a direct message in Messenger, I guess, on Facebook, and send you an invite. Don't feel obligated. I don't know if you do Discord, but I'm trying to build something there. Hopefully I can get some momentum there. But, one of the things it has is, in addition to these threads on various topics that you can build with your own server in Discord, you can have like a voice room where you can go and just listen, talk, hang out, and share video if you want. But you may not even want to talk. You may just want to listen. I was thinking it would be kind of cool to build a community and do something like that there. So I'll send you an invite, but don't feel like you have to do it if you're not so inclined. It's not for everybody. I'm still I've been fiddling with it. Truth be told, my now 14-year-old son, when he was about 8 or 9, he set up my Discord for me. So he set up the bots and everything. That was back a few years ago. So he told me tonight, I said, hey, just a heads up, I'm going to be going live on YouTube. He goes, you are? He goes, some of my friends are watching your YouTube videos now. I go, you got to be kidding. They got to be so boring for a 13 or 14-year-old. They said they're really just chill. They're really chill. Anyway. One of the guys I recently invited is a friend in Albuquerque who's a now retired sergeant with the Albuquerque Police Department. He's always really good for getting me all updated on what's going on in New Mexico news. And I told him I planned on building like a little true crime space too on the server. So I've got some stuff there where I hope to be developing channels on photography and live streaming and such. I just recently posted a bunch of stuff in the general channel with numerous pictures on my work setup. I have my work office here. I work for the state of Washington, and I do a lot of I develop trainings and lead some virtual meetings with groups and stuff. So I've tried to up my game a bit here at home for work. And it's a work in progress as well. But I posted some pictures of what I'm now using for work of my setup there too. So, ole, chill, Mark. All right. Okay, thanks, Will. I think I'll wrap it up. I've been going on now, rambling on for a while, but just really good to reconnect with folks, let you know I'm still out here, and I will be doing more. And also hope to be out, and I will be out more with the camera, showing the great outdoors. I'm thinking about doing something up on Lord Hill soon in Snohomish, which is an area I really enjoy hiking up and exploring. There's a place up high on Lord Hill where in Snohomish where you can see the tops of downtown skyscrapers in Seattle, which blew me away the first time I found that spot, because I didn't think that was possible. I thought you'd have to be high up in an airplane to see that. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope wherever you are, you're having a great day or evening, and hope to see you again. If you like this type of content and you're new here, please give it a thumbs up. And if you really like it, maybe even subscribe. Nice to have you along for the ride. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. Take care. So long, everybody. Good night, Will.